Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Stream of Thought podcast where thoughts flow and ideas stick. I'm your host, Jasmine. And I'm still undecided about this dress. So I put it on and I was like, so I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure it out how I feel because I feel like this might be a little much and I kind of like it at the same time. So, yeah, undecided. Which brings me to the overarching topic of today's episode. I want to talk about things recently that made me go, or just made me ask why in general, like, what is this? So, the first thing is dating shows. So, I don't normally watch any dating shows. That's not really like my thing, but I do see like clips and stuff on YouTube, like little snips of certain dating shows. And I just be like, okay, I know that some of this stuff is fake, right? Like it has to be because some of the things that people do on these dating shows is just like, wow, like there's no way that this is real, right? You're doing this for attention or clout or whatever. And so one in particular that I'm just like, what even is this? Love is Blind. So love is not blind. You definitely need to see someone in order to fall in love with them. I think that that is so wild to me. Um, I feel like that's why, and like no shade to these people because I'm sure it's some people on that show that really honestly think they could find love and like not seeing the person is not important as important as the personality, I guess. But you know, being physically attracted to someone is the first form of attraction I feel that you feel towards somebody else. So I do think you need to see in order to have that. I and maybe some people do this, but I have never done this to where I see someone and I'm not physically attracted to them and I don't know them, but I think, "Oh, he probably has such a good personality." Like his looks don't even matter. Like I've never done that, and that is not to sound vain or anything like that, but we definitely have to be attracted with our eyes first. I feel like there's something that you like about this person, their face, their body, something or everything, like who knows. But and then so the physical attraction is what gets you, right? That's what hooks you, but that's not what keeps you. The personality is what keeps you. Because looks fade, we all get old, we get gray, maybe you went through something that you don't look as good as you used to. I mean, I don't know, like, but it's not something that will last until you're like 90, so that can definitely fade. But if you have a really good personality or a personality that that person likes, then, they'll stick around. So, and I feel like that's the order in which it should be. You should be physically attracted to someone, and then you should be attracted to their personality. Because when it's backwards, that's when you run into things like on that show. Like I've seen snippets of people like literally devastated and crying because they see the person. They're like, he doesn't look like he sounds. Or she was hot on the phone. She sounded hot. But now when I'm seeing her, it's like not that. And it's like, that's probably because you need to see her first. So yeah. And I feel like also love at first sight, I don't believe in that either. Like I believe in like at first sight, infatuation. Like and that can be misconstrued and that can confuse you, right? Because you like what you see. You like what you see, so it's getting you like, your head is in the clouds and you're just all like, oh my God, he's so great or she's so great, but like you can't see the forest through the trees kind of thing. So I like you at first sight, but I don't love you at first sight. I gotta learn to love you. And love for me, like the type of personality that I have and the way, my mind is set up, like it takes a while. Like you gotta work for it. And I like to see, like my husband. I told him, I was like, I need to see you in every stage. I need to see you happy. I need to see you sad. I need to see you mad, mad with me, mad with other people. How do you handle things when it doesn't go your way? Do you flip out? Do you throw temper tantrums? Are you not, do you act like a child, or do you act like a grown man? Like, how do you handle life? Because life is not always going to be like flowers and roses all the time. Like, real stuff happens, and I need to see how you handle it. In order for me to feel like, oh, like I more than like this guy. Like, I love this guy. So yeah, dating shows get me. So Love Is Blind is one, and then uh what is that show called with the balloon? Pop the Balloon. And like I said, I have never seen either of these shows. Like, I've never watched an episode. However, I've seen only snippets on like YouTube, TikTok, maybe even Instagram. And it's always like the worst ones, right? So, I mean, these might be like overall like okay shows to watch, but um, I can't say that because I've only seen the snips. And in the most recent snip that I saw about Pop the Balloon, it was like it was a guy, and it was a bunch of girls that were going to pop their balloon, and he was telling them about himself, like, he was educated, he was like a lawyer or something, and he really valued like family. He was God fearing, he was all about his faith, and he loved to get back to homeless and like just care about his community. He just seemed like a kind person, right? And so many, as he was talking, so many of those girls popped their balloon. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's interesting to see like why they popped the balloon. So, they go to each person and say, like, why did you pop your balloon? And the first girl was like, honestly, it was just your voice. Um, so you just don't sound masculine or something, she was saying. Like, she's from somewhere where she needs her man to sound strong, and that was literally her only reason for popping her balloon. So they go to the next girl, and she's just like, I don't know, I feel like the same thing, your voice, it was your voice, you just don't sound like you just don't sound masculine. And and it was funny because the guy ended up like switching up his voice. He was like, it can change. And so that was hilarious how he did that. But that made me think. I was like, okay, so I think it's so important to determine like what it is you value or what your deal breakers are. Like, if somebody's voice is above them being God fearing, them being a really kind person, them being successful, and all these things, if their voice is your deal breaker, that's interesting. That's interesting. And the man didn't sound feminine. I guess his voice wasn't super deep, but it also wasn't like, girl, like, it wasn't like that either. So I feel like for me, that felt like a reach, because like the man was checking a lot of boxes, and it, those women just popped their balloons off of the one thing that clearly he said he could change. So I feel like that just makes me wonder, like I said in the beginning, how fake these shows really are. Like, do these people really value things like voices over everything, or is this a joke? Am I being too deep? I'm thinking too much into this. Um, because for me, they had to be unserious. Another thing that kind of made me be like, or why, and also like annoyed at the same time, canceling gym memberships. I don't understand why canceling a gym membership is like the hardest thing to do. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I was going to one particular gym. Well, that's my home gym, I guess is what they call it, like your home base where you get your membership at, but then you can still go to other gyms. So that was my home base gym. And then I moved. And so I couldn't go to that gym. I didn't move. I moved pretty far away from that gym where it wouldn't be reasonable for me to drive all the way there to work out. So they told me, oh, yeah, you can go to the other gyms, you know. And so I started doing that. And to me, the one that was closest to me was my home gym, you know. So when it came time to cancel, I was like, oh, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, because you have to go in person. That's one of their rules or whatever. So I was like, I'm going to go to this gym and I'm going to cancel. So I go there and the person at the front desk was like, oh, there's nobody here that can cancel your membership. You're going to have to send an email. So I sent the email, and she also told me that, oh, it could take like 5 business days for them to respond to you. The guy didn't take that long. He took like a day. And he was like, I'm not going to be able to cancel your membership because this is not your home gym. You're going to have to call this number and see and get them to cancel it for you. So I was like, all right. Okay. So I've tried to cancel twice and nothing. So I'm going to call this home gym and I'm going to tell them the situation and they're going to be able to cancel it for me. So I call them and immediately the guy is like, oh no, you're going to have to come here to cancel it. And I was like, wait, hold on. Let me explain to you what is happening and what I've been going through for the past few days. So I explained the whole thing, and I was like, and I don't even live close to you guys anymore. Like it would be a lot for me to get over there. Like it would take me like an hour to get there, and he was like, okay, well, you can send an email to this email address and then this other email address. So I was like, okay. And then you have to attach a bill with your like home address or something on it so we can know for sure that you don't live close. So I was like, all right, I will do that. So I sent the email and I didn't get a response. So I waited like a day and a half and I was like, okay, I'm going to send a follow-up email to these people. And I'm going to send a follow-up email and I'm going to give it a little bit of time because I'm gonna give it like a few hours. Because on that day I didn't have a whole lot of stuff to do. Normally I'm like very busy, like my schedule is full. So I said I can fit this in to go over there, even though it is an hour, even though I am going to be annoyed. But clearly this is the only way I can get this done. So I was going to do that, but then finally he messaged me back and canceled it. But that made me think all that whole thing that I had to go through. And I have been to other gyms and I have canceled. And literally it takes 2 seconds for them to do it. They ask you, oh, like, what's your reason for canceling? Or they offer like, hey, do you want a cheaper plan? Do you want to pause your plan? Like they give you alternatives rather than canceling. And but it's literally just them clicking on the screen and it's like a total of 5 minutes. So I don't think you need to see me in order for you to click a button on a screen. Like I just felt like it wasn't necessary. But the reason why they do that, and they take so long and they drag it out, is because they want to charge you for another month. So really a lot of these gyms be scams. So that definitely made me say, why? And I asked the guy why. Why I gotta come? Like, explain to me why I have to come there. He really didn't have an explanation, really. So yeah. Another thing that makes me ask why, or just makes me wonder if it's even like necessary or needed all the time, are like behavioral questions in an interview. Now, I feel like Drink some more water. I feel like the main behavioral question that gets me, like, is what are your strengths and weaknesses? And it's like a setup because you have to say a weakness that is also disguised as a strength. Like you can't go in there and really tell a weakness about yourself because then you won't get hired. So I feel like it's not they don't really want to know your strengths and weaknesses. They want to know how you how you would answer the question. They just want to know, like, are you going to like freak out, or are you going to be calm and answer the question in a way that they would like for you to answer it? So I feel like there's really no right or wrong answer to what are your strengths or weaknesses. Um, and I think it's really a crazy question to ask somebody. Like, what if you're a perfectionist? Like, perfectionism can be a strength because you want to do things right all the time, but it can also be a weakness because nobody's perfect, right? But it's all about how the people that are asking you the question perceive that. And you really, like panel interviews, you have to appease to, let's say you got 3 or 4 people asking you questions. You got to appease to all these different personalities. And at the end of the day, 2 of them might really like you, but that one really didn't like your answers because they didn't agree with anything you said. And that one is like the hiring manager. That one is the decision maker. So, yeah, eventually I would like to, own a business and be the one interviewing people. And behavioral questions are just not questions I'm going to ask because I just feel like they're so generic and they're not really that helpful because it's just like a printout. Anyone can go online and print out 5 behavioral questions that you want to ask in an interview. But that's not really like a personal experience. That's just like, oh, I got to check these boxes, like what are your strengths and weaknesses, like, or whatever other questions they have. But you're not really trying to get to know the person. And I think that's what I would want to focus on more, like when I have to interview people. But yeah, another thing and this one is kind of dark, but it's something I was joking about with my brother the other day because I don't know, I guess my algorithm is different because like on YouTube and like TikTok and stuff like that, I see a lot of like, oh, say happy birthday to such and such who just turned 103 or 102, and it's like, oh, that is so cool that they lived that long. But then I got to thinking, hmm, I actually wouldn't want to live until 102 or 103 because like I would very much be here by myself. Like who else is going to be here until 102? So yeah, I don't know how appealing that would be for me. Um, but it's a mindset thing. I think I have a different mindset than maybe some people. But who would I be if I wasn't me? Somebody else. And that one just really wouldn't be that fun. So, yeah, thank you all for listening. And you can get this episode anywhere that you get your podcast. And then the video will be only on the Stream of Thought Pod YouTube channel. So, thanks for listening. Bye.